I wanted to try something a little different today, and I'm going to do my first quick product review. I'm going to try and follow in similar vein to my No BS series and keep this to under 5 minutes. So I'm just going to get cracking. So the plugin I've chosen today is a rather cool plugin from a company called Twisted Tools, and the name of the plugin is called Ultraloop. Ultraloop is available as an ensemble, which is compatible with Native Instruments Reactor plugin. So essentially Reactor is the host and you load the ensemble inside Reactor, as you can see here. Just to quickly touch on this, so the plugin itself looks quite complicated, but it's if you tackle each individual area on its own, it's quite simple, and it's just knowing where each of the menu items sit. So for example, you know, you've got these little icons here and they are driven via this side panel. It's just knowing where to find the things you want to change. So I'm just going to play a couple of presets within this plugin just to give you an idea what it's about. So the first one. Ultraloop allows you to load your own loops into the wave editor, and then from there you can create your own loops from other loops. So breaking that down, on screen you can see 8 different loops in the background. So if I just highlight all those like that and just play it. So they're all individual loops that you can play around with and create your own loop from the loops themselves. Personally, I mean, I make hip hop music and I haven't found too much application in regards to that genre. In my own opinion, it seems to be more suited towards electronic music or dubstep and so on. So yeah, I myself haven't found too much of use for it, but it doesn't mean that it's not a really cool plugin. I've just been messing around with it this afternoon, and as you can see on the left hand side, I've got some drum breaks that I loaded into Ultraloop, and I tried to create a new break off of all of those existing drum breaks. And to be honest, I didn't really get anywhere, but then again, I was just randomizing a lot of the parameters you can get in here. So just very quickly touch base on this. On the right hand side, you've got the sampler, and the loop number corresponds to the loop that's been imported into the plugin. So if we go to this window here, and then all of the loaded loops, they've essentially got numbers, and those numbers are driven here. In the instance of using your own samples, say you only use 1 to 12, you can drag this little slot down like that, so it only says 12, and then you can randomize them in here. To randomize each area, you just have to have this green button switched on, and that randomizes it. And then on the left hand side here, you've just got the sequencer, which is up here, so you can randomize the sequencer. Next to the track sequencer, you've got the FX sequencer, which goes along the top of the track sequencer. So you can see if I randomize this, it randomizes at the top. Essentially what that means is if the yellow light is switched on, the FX gestures, which is the effects that are generated in the background, will apply to that hit. Moving on to FX gestures, this is the main engine of the plugin, well, at least from an FX perspective, and you can just automatically generate or randomize different effects. So I've just found, you know, generating and randomizing is just the best way to kind of just experiment. I touched these earlier on in the video, but you've got the different options here. So if you just wanted to apply a BPM change to one of the loops, you can do so as so. You can mute certain areas, solo, and so on. I won't go into too much detail there. Another useful feature that you'd want to know about is this mono button here. So at the moment you can see that I can only select one beat per row at a time. If you hit poly, you can then do as many as you like. So from an application perspective, I've just found that Because this plugin is so versatile, randomization for me is the way to go. You know, if you're getting nowhere with the randomization, the presets that have shipped with the plugin itself are very useful. So you could just rely on those and then tweak accordingly. But yeah, I mean, it's just another tool for your arsenal that you can use if you hit some sort of writer's block. And that's kind of it. I didn't want to go into too much detail. I know I've covered this at a very high level, but I hope you kind of get a feel for what this plugin kind of is. And, you know, if you want to know more, all you got to do is just Google Twisted Tools, Ultraloop, and there's a PDF guide there, which covers each area individually. Just to wrap up the overview of Ultraloop, I'm gonna record a separate video that quickly demonstrates how you can import your own loops into this, which I personally find, as I said, coming from a hip hop background, and the existing sounds didn't really work for me. Experiment, and more importantly, have fun. I hope that helped. Let me know if you have any questions.